I think that as you grow and as you get more responsibility and more influence, you start to realize that it's less about you and it's actually more about the legacy that you can leave.
Just don't stop. Don't quit. You're right there. When it becomes the most difficult and the hardest is the time that you need to keep going.
The super strongest people that you see walking around, they're actually sore. They're actually struggling. They're the ones fighting. The people who are not, that are walking around saying, I'm fine today, they're not struggling, but in reality, they're not growing. Welcome back to the Growth Over Comfort podcast. I'm your host, Randy Anderson, joined again by my co-host, Steve Miller, Coach
Absolutely.
Steve Miller.
Ready to go.
Ready to go? All right, me too. I have an interesting topic for you today.
Okay.
It's actually just, how are you doing?
Doing good. How are you doing?
We talk a lot about personal development and all these sort of things, and we talk about like general ideas. And then we do have our own personal parts peppered in there as well. But I think it'd just be fun just to have a get to know moment and just talk and just have like, where are you at in life and what are you hoping to achieve and all these sort of things. So maybe just for the next 20-ish minutes, 30-ish minutes, let's just talk about if my watch will stop dinging and making things go off. How professional am I? The fact that we're starting a podcast, my watch is going off. I apologize.
That's a good way to do it.
Is it? I don't know.
Seems right.
Yeah, but I just wanted this to kind of just be more of a chill episode. I say that knowing that as we talk about something personal, there will be some sort of development or business nugget that's
Sure.
going to come out and
Sure.
it's going to, I think, help the listeners and also help each other.
Yeah.
Actually, let's go back. You asked this right before we hit record. What's next for me after 75 hard? An update. I don't know if did I mention it in an episode? It's so hard to remember what I've mentioned and what I've not. I completed 75 hard. I completed the first one, then the phase 1, then 2, and now 3, which was a doozy. And so I've done the Live Hard program 1 year. I'm happy with that. And it makes me, just think, okay, cool. I can do hard things. That's awesome. I want to do it again, but I'm waiting a little bit because this phase 3 interrupted a bunch of birthday parties. And while it's not an issue to say no to certain sweets or even just to, make sure they fit within my diet somehow, basically having nothing else.
Right.
It was just challenging, to know that there was a birthday party coming up and I had to make that decision. So I'm going to move my start date out so that way if I do it again and do phase 3 again, phase 3 won't coincide with birthday parties. Anyway, that said, I mentioned to you, I need to do it smarter. And you said 75 smarter, not 75 harder. What I meant by that was I found myself at the end of not every day, but some days, and this is just how it is some days, it was 1 o'clock in the morning and I was getting my last workout in of the day and then trying to read my book and not fall asleep at the same time, after the workout. So I think I need to shift because we've talked about this. I'm a night person.
Right.
I need to shift from being a night person to being a morning person.
How do you make the shift from being a night person to a morning person, though? What are the habits that you need to, like on my side, to do that? It's almost imperative that I go to bed at 8 o'clock,
Yeah.
to be able to get up and do the things that I do in the morning.
Yeah.
But like this morning, for instance, I've already gotten my Bible study in. I've already read, my pages of nonfiction. I've already had my prayer time and time to just build back, the heart side of things. I've already gotten my workout in this morning, and all of that happened before 6 a.m.
Incredible.
So being able to do that, if I'll just build off of that, makes the rest of my day better. When we opened this deal up, you asked, how you're doing. Well, I'm struggling. And the things that I'm struggling in is preparing for the podcast and studying and reading and doing, and all of that stuff has led me to the place of, there's so much more that you have to offer. There's so many more things that you can achieve and do if you'll just lock in and be what you need to be. And I'm about to hit a 90-day run. I'm still involved in 75 hard. I'm still going to be doing that. That's still going to be part of the process. But that I've written a book. The book should be released in July, and the things in that book, are all about getting yourself ready for your next opportunity that you'll have. Mm-hmm. Well, I want to make sure that I don't miss the next opportunity that I get. There's some big things coming. There's some really neat things coming that I'd like to achieve. And we'll talk about those as they come up on the podcast. But one of the things in that is, opportunities will begin to stack. And we talked about this before too. I make all kind of offers every day, business offers, partnership offers, different things like that, all throughout the day. And I've been doing that for a while. Somewhere along the way, those will start to turn into real opportunities that will begin to stack. Mm-hmm. And as those things stack, it's going to be really neat to see how it all works out. One of the things, I was on a Zoom training Friday and Saturday this week with Coach Michael Burt. He's my coach right now. And so I was on that training. Great, by the way. I mean, he did a great job. It was on person of interest and becoming a person of interest, and it was fantastic. But in there, I met a guy that's on a morning show for a radio station.
That's cool.
And he messaged me and it's like, hey, just hearing you talk, today, I'd love to interview you on the radio show about your book.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I went, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But that's an opportunity I would have never gotten had I not shown up like I was supposed to do.
Right.
So you asked me how I'm doing. I'm struggling.
Yeah.
But I'm struggling because I know what's out there. I know what's coming, which causes me to live right on the edge of, I'm about to fall off the edge of this cliff. I'm literally about to fall. I can see the bottom down there, and I'm about to fall off the edge of it. So what you're talking about, being smarter with what I'm doing and making sure that I turn the right things the right way is really important right now. Why do you think you need to be a morning? Why do you think you need to make that shift? What causes you to look at your current life and go, all right, I can see that if I make this shift, it changes something in my life? What is that? What do you see changing if you make that shift to be more of a morning person than a night person?
Well, so as of right now, most of the time, our girls will go to bed around 9. Let me go back up. They start getting to bed around 7:30, and then bedtime for the little one is at 7. For Emmy, our older child, bedtime like the latest is 8. At that point, we're in bed. What I mean by around 9 is at that point, we're for sure they're both asleep, and we are like, we're free.
Yeah.
So bedtime is actually 8 at the latest, but at 9 is like when we're like freedom, and we can do whatever we want. And so
Get big grown-ups.
Yeah, exactly. And so normally we'll watch a show, eat some popcorn or something like that, whatever, and just reconnect with each other, and that's great. And then normally around 10:30 or so, 11 o'clock at the latest is when Anna's like, yeah, I'm going to go to bed. And then I stay up to work on things that I need to get done from 11 to sometimes 12:30 to 1 sometimes even.
Right.
But that leads to me sleeping in much later. So I get up at 7. So if I go to bed at 1 and I get up at 7, that's not many hours sleep. Not really. Not enough really to keep going like long term. I personally have had days when I woke up early. I followed your schedule. Like I worked out. I studied God's word. I prepared for the day mentally, and I felt amazing. The entire rest of the day was crazy productive.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I need to be doing this more often. I need to be doing this all the time. And the shift, when I fall behind, especially when I'm doing 75 hard. If I'm doing 75 hard and I fall behind and I'm completing a task at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night, and then I go to sleep, I'm not waking up at 4. I'm not waking up at 5. If I am, then I'm completely dead. So it's hard for me to make that jumping off point, but I think it has to happen. And the reason I think it has to happen is because I know how much more productive I am. And I think if I could get a solid 3 to 4 hours in before anyone else is up, it's going to rocket my productivity. It's going to make me the father and the husband that I need to be. And it's going to make me the boss that I need to be. Because even like before this podcast started, I said, I need to send something real quick. And so I sent that before we started. That would have already been done.
Right.
That would have been done before we even got to the studio.
Right.
So I think it's moving from a place of reaction to action, I guess, versus, So a lot of my days feel like I'm reacting to everything going on. I have a plan in my head of what I need to accomplish, but it feels like a reaction, like to get things in, to get the rocks in, like we talked about, versus taking action in the very beginning.
Yeah, and it's one of the big things on my side is taking what I do in the morning and then, like I said, stacking and building on that, not letting that just be the day, but actually moving into the productive part of my day.
Yeah.
At that point, there's different time things that come in where you can chunk your time.
Yeah.
Where I only do these things from 7 to 9. That's it. Unless there's some emergency that comes up, I'm dealing with these things from 7 to 9. From 9 to 11, I'm dealing with these. From 11 to 12, this is what it looks like. And then for me, 12 starts another day.
Right.
So I'm moving at 12 into that next day, and I start that process over. Okay, what are the big rocks for this day? What big rocks have I missed? Did I miss any big rocks in the day before?
Yeah.
In the morning? If I did, then I put that big rock in, and we continue to roll the chunking part of that and moving in that. I've started doing a video every morning, and I send that out, and I'm starting to post those. Just the habit of that video has caused me to start really shifting all the other things in my life where I said I'm struggling. What I'm struggling with is the things that I know to do are not as habitual as they need to be.
Yeah.
But because of that one habit over 30 days for me has caused me to go, well, if you can do that, you can do this. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to stack another one. James Clear in the book Atomic Habits talks about stacking habits. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to stack another habit on top of that. Not only am I going to send a video, I'm going to do some handwritten notes. Yeah. And send those things out. And so I'm going to start doing that every day. So combining those two things, by the end of the year, I'll have over 300 pieces of content out. Yeah. I have over 300 handwritten notes to friends and coworkers and different people, that need encouragement.
Yeah.
And in doing that, I hope it encourages them, but it really changes who I am because it becomes far less about me and far more about them.
Yeah. I think that's great. Wow.
So you need sleep. So you've got to put sleep in there. So if you're making a window for sleep, what is your window?
My ideal, what's my time frame for sleep?
Yeah, this is the plan. This is what we're working through this today, and it's kind of lighthearted, but we're working through it
for sure.
So let's kind of set some things.
My absolute minimum that I need to actually be able to function is 6 hours, but I know that that's not actually enough. Most people need 7 to 8, you know. So just as a little quick side note, if it were possible, I would never sleep because I love it. It's fine. I like laying down. I like going to sleep. I love the way you feel after a refreshing 8 hours, but I think about wasting time so much. And I know it's not a time waste because you have to, otherwise you'll die. But if it were humanly possible to not go to sleep, I would do that. I really would. I think I would. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So little weird fun fact about me. I hate sleep. I would say, because you mentioned this too, what would I need to do to make that happen, to get the 7 to 8 hours? I think I would have to make my nights boring. Because there's been times where I'm like, I don't need to start a movie. I don't want to start this. I don't want to start this project. I think I'm bored. I'm just going to go to sleep. And those nights, I've gone to sleep at 10 or something.
Right.
So I think I need to somehow make my nights boring, or where I have a rule that says I'm only up as long as Anna's up. That doesn't work either because if Anna goes to sleep at 11, there's no way I can get up at 4. I can, but it's really not enough sleep.
Right. If you do 10, you get and wake up at 5, you're 7 hours of sleep. Is that right?
Best, yeah.
So you're 7 hours.
Yeah.
If you do 10, but if you do 10 to 6 or 11 to 6, and you put 6 as your jumping off point, you're okay at that. Yeah. I don't know when your whole family gets up.
They get up earlier than I would like.
So you're looking at 5.
Yeah.
If you're looking at 5, you're probably 10, 11 at the latest to go to sleep. And then you're okay to function. If you move that back into your midnight 1 in the morning, it's not going to be good. You're not going to function well.
I won't be able to handle that.
Right.
I feel like if I was 20 again, I could do it for a week, but now it's no.
Yeah.
Even one day I'm off. So, and I can tell a difference. I can tell a difference in how I treat people and how I handle projects and tasks. So I think 10 would be a great place to start. And then I would even love to be able to do 9:30 or something one day. But my fear then is I'm cutting into the time that I've allotted for me and Anna.
Yeah.
But what I would like to do is move that time to some other time, because I would like to say that if I woke up earlier, so let's say I woke up at 4, let's just throw out 4, and I start working, and then the family doesn't get up till 7, but I've already got in 3 hours. So therefore, on the back end of the day, I should be able to take away 3 hours if I'd use it efficiently, right? So those extra 3 hours I gain back during the day, maybe that time can be spent instead with family.
If you follow the plan that I have, or Ed Milet's plan, or anyone that's breaking their day into different than just a 24-hour day, if you follow that, my 4 to 12 is a solid 8 hours and a useful 8 hours. And then my 12 to 8 are solid. So you could change a whole deal for you. You could be 4 to 12, and that could be most of your workday.
Yeah.
You could say my 8-hour workday's here. Just examples. You're looking, okay, from 12 to 4 is all about new client, new business.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend from 12 to 4 talking to people. New clients, new business. From 4 to 5, I'm going to follow up with my team and make sure that we're ready to go on the next day.
Yeah.
And then you're 5 to 8 free.
Yeah.
And then you're starting the process over again.
Yeah.
For me, those kind of things completely change what I do and how I operate. When I get home in the afternoons, normally it's around 5:30, and then Cindy and I will eat supper, and then we have some time together. We're not doing a very good job with it right now. We're just hanging out on the couch sometimes watching different things, but we're working on changing that as well. To where it's more productive, more communication. Those type things.
Yeah. So then you wind down around.
Then I wind down around 7:30.
Yeah.
Going into 8, and I'm back in bed.
Yeah. Gotcha. Let's talk about when you go to bed. Do you have a phone in the room? Like, because some people are like, I don't have a phone in the room. Other people say they even turn off their Wi-Fi.
No, my phone's my alarm clock, so
Yeah.
it sits on the windowsill
Yeah.
beside my bed.
Do you try not to look at it before you start to wind down?
Yeah, it's fine. It's not a killer for me. I'm normally done by then.
Because have you heard there's
I'm
the
ready to
people
go.
that, there's, I think it's called the 3-2-1 deal. At 3 hours away from when you go to sleep, you stop eating. 2 hours away, you stop drinking. And then 1 hour away, you turn off anything that has blue light. So the phone,
wow.
you don't use a phone.
That's a great approach. I think that's a great concept.
I've never tried it, full disclosure.
Right. But
heard
we're
it.
talking about things that make things better, and talking about, not lighthearted, by any means. We're talking about trying to do things that actually will provide growth. And that's a great thing to map out. I'm about to go on a 90-day journey, personal journey, to get better.
Yeah.
And in that journey, I'm looking for things like that. And then I'm going to chart it and then go back and look at it and go, okay, yeah, this really helped. This really changed, what's happening in my life. And it's about changing. That's a habit.
Yeah.
And is that the right kind of habit to move me from where I'm at, to change my energy level in the day, to change my opportunities that I get? Because you meet somebody, and that one person may be the catalyst that changes your whole future.
Yeah.
But if you're Eeyore that day and your tail fell off,
Yeah. Yeah.
that guy's I don't want to work with that guy.
Yeah.
I don't want anything apart. I don't want to be a part of that. One of the things that I heard today or yesterday, I was reading and listening to some different things, and one of the guys said his deal was that when he meets a person, he wants that person to leave better than before they met. And I went, that sounds great when it's the people that I want to pour into.
Yeah.
My family, my friends, those kind of people. But what about that clerk at Walmart?
Yeah.
What about that guy at the gas station? What about the guy that you see on the street that you just smile at and say hello and really mean, how's your day going? And if they stop and talk, take time to talk to them. At the end of this 90-day journey I'm on, if I can say the people I come in contact with are better because they met me, not a selfish because they met me that day, but I was able to add something to their life that made their day better. I think that's a good journey. That's a good path to be on. It's what we're talking about. It's the growth side of this. I'm not growing so I can get whatever. I'm growing so hopefully I can make an impact and help people. And I think you're in the same lane.
Yeah, definitely. I think that as you grow and as you get more responsibility and more influence and all that, you start to realize that it's less about you and it's actually more about the legacy that you can leave as far as like helping people and things, as far as you can show love, as far as you can teach, as far as you can help along the way.
Yeah. Like I said earlier in the podcast, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time because there's still a lot of selfish parts of me. There's still a lot of me that wants to just, if I can just get this done for me,
Yeah.
I think I can help other people. But what if I shift that and go, if I can get this done for other people, then how does that come back? That whole thing circles around.
Yeah.
You know, if you're able to get up earlier in the morning and take care of all the things that you know you need to take care of that are not selfish, but the things that you have to be your most effective. You know, your Bible study, your time with God, your time that you're just reading or doing something that does your heart good, your exercise, and all of those things are in. And all of those things are in every day. How much better are you with your kids?
Yeah.
How much better are you with your wife? How much more are you when you show up in the marketplace? Because this is not we'll do a podcast and stay in this room. This is go out there and talk to people and see what's going on.
Yeah.
And find out what's happening. A couple more quick questions for you.
Okay.
We're talking about change and growth. Can you change more than 2 or 3 things at one time, or do you think that you just need to focus and change one?
I don't think you'll be as effective if you change multiple things at once. And I think some things will not stick. But I do think it's okay to try, because if you think about it, when we do 75 hard, that's a lot of change.
Yeah.
Those habits. I would say that a lot of them don't stick. You know, like I'm off 75 hard. I have not been reading 10 pages every day. I haven't. I've stopped taking a cold shower every day. Like I actually, for the first week after that, I did still take a cold shower, which is interesting. Then I think I had one warm shower and I was like, oh, this is what it's like.
No, this is different.
But I will say doing 75 hard, all those tasks all at the same time, it led me to try multiple things, multiple different ways and see what I liked in my life and where those was working out. Like I loved it. And I still love it now. And I do think that you can try multiple things, but I think it depends on how resolved you are to do the one thing. Like if you know you want to do one thing, I think you need to just focus on that one thing. Like if your goal was to create a YouTube channel or create a podcast, then you should just focus on that and put all your energy into that. Because if you do 3 or 4 podcasts, which is what I'm doing, and you're doing well in all of them, I feel like it's doing great. Just imagine how good you'd be at one.
Yeah.
You know? My answer to both is yes.
The answer is do one thing, but try multiple things while you're doing the one thing.
Yep. I think it depends on your goals, basically.
I think you're right. I think it depends on what you're actually trying to accomplish and where you are. Like for me in my life, where I was at a month ago when we started all of this journey, I needed to change multiple things in order to be effective. Mm-hmm. In order to show up in the marketplace like I would like to show up in the marketplace. One of the things that I've learned is it's taken way longer than I thought it would. It's painful. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good spiritually. It doesn't feel good emotionally. It doesn't feel good physically. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel good, which is the struggle right now. But, you know, all the guys that have made it will tell you just don't stop. Don't quit. You're right there. You know, when it becomes the most difficult and the hardest is the time that you need to keep going. Mm-hmm. So in that, you've already gone through the 75 hard piece, so you've done hard things.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've accomplished it. That's a monumental task, by the way. And that's a huge congratulations because that's a big deal. So you've done hard things. In doing those hard things, do you think that's a better base now for you to build on? Or do you think that's, I can just let that go? Or do you think now looking at it, I can take the platform of the hard that I went through and actually put something on top of it now and make some changes that are more dialed in, like you were talking about the 3-2-1 deal before you go to sleep. Mm-hmm. Back in your time that you actually become intentional with the time you go to bed. Do you think that will be able to dial in those things to make your daily habits better? Mm-hmm. Or what do you think that looks like?
I do think it was a base for me. Back to the first part, I think it was a base for everything because, just to be honest, to be frank, I was not a disciplined person at all. You know, I just basically tried something for like 2 or 3 days and I stopped or whatever, and I had no discipline in my life. And 75 Hard really showed me that not only can I do hard things, but I can be disciplined in something. And this sounds weird to say, there's actually a lot of freedom in 75 Hard. Because one, it shows you can do hard things and you can be an amazing version of yourself. But two, Andy, the guy who created it, Andy Frisella, says he created the power list system, which is a fancy way of saying it's a to-do list. But that's what, in his mind, 75 Hard is. It's the 5 critical tasks that you have to accomplish that day. and that if you accomplish these tasks in that day, you win the day. When you're done with 75 hard, you get to choose whatever tasks you want, but he still encourages you to use the power list. So I would say that that's your base, is you are now able to say, if I put something on my list, I'm going to do it. That's your base. But you then get to choose what's on the list. Maybe on my list is I'm going to try the 3-2-1 method for 21 days, so until it's a habit. Andy actually says that a habit needs to be longer, 75 days. That's why he does 75. Well, actually, it was because of a timeline, but whatever. He had like a date he was going to do something, and he said, I'm going to do it until this date, and you all can join me or not. But anyway, back to that point, though, if I put it on my list, the 3-2-1 method, I know that I'm going to go after that, and I'm going to accomplish it. And if I didn't do it that day, then I look at the front of the page, and I put an L on there, and I say, I lost today. And that's okay, because you do lose. Things happen. You know, people get sick. There's terrible things that happen in the world that cause you to miss things. But it's not necessarily that every day is a win. It's just that at the end of the year, you look back over your year, and there are way more W's than there are L's.
Yeah.
You know, or even your week. Look at your week. How many days in the week did you win? So I think that 75 hard is my new base, and it's my building of discipline. And building on that, using the power list system, I feel like I can try anything new and win.
So you can take, and that's a great concept, you can take now from that base, look at your life, and go, these are the areas that I want to be great in. I don't think we talk about greatness enough. Maybe when we get growth over comfort, we need to go greatness over growth. Something. People don't talk about greatness enough. There's not enough greatness in the world.
Yeah.
But you can look at your life and go, for me to be great, for me to be the best possible version of me, these 5 things have to happen every day.
Yeah.
And then incorporate those 5, like you were doing with 75 hard. You know what those areas are in your life.
Yeah.
Way more than I know. You know, I can look at you and go, man, it looks like he's got it together. It looks like he's doing great today. Everything about him seems to be right. But on the inside, you're the one that lays down on your pillow at night. You're the one that looks in the mirror in the morning that goes, I won or lost.
Yeah.
I don't get to choose that for you. You get to choose that for you. One of the things I heard a business mentor that I'm following said most millionaires, if they win 52 days a year, it's what allows them to be the millionaire. I'm like, that's cool. I don't have to win them all.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to win them all. But that doesn't mean you don't try.
No. They're making all kind of effort every day, but they're just getting knocked down most days.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it too. One of the things over the last month that's been very interesting to me for my life is that the harder I try, the more I do, it seems like the less actually shows up.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to see things that I've never seen. You know, I don't know if I said this earlier in the podcast, but you know, I was on the training that I was on. There was a guy on there that's a radio producer, and I probably said it, but you know, just that opportunity for him to go, "Hey, Steve, I'd love to have you on my show."
Yeah,
I'm like, that's neat.
Yeah,
you know, being able to do those type things is really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Before we wrap up, let me say this. You've mentioned a few times about you struggling, which I'm sorry, but I'm also. It also makes me a little. I don't want to say happy, but
thank you.
Here's the thing. Anytime you see a strong person walking around, you think that they're strong. They're actually sore from the last workout they just did.
Oh yeah.
So I actually did a podcast this past weekend, and there was a guy who came and he chatted with me. And the dude he's a bodybuilder. Like he's a little shorter than I am, but he's ripped. And he was showing me photos, and he was going to go to competition. He could do like the lat spread and all that in the back. And him and another guy helped me bring some gear up here afterwards.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's take the stairs back down. And he goes, oh, okay, I'm just really sore. He's the fittest guy between me and the other guy there.
Yeah.
And he's walking around super sore because he just did a workout. So my point is that I think it's interesting. The super strongest people that you see walking around, they're actually sore. They're actually struggling. They're the ones fighting. The people who are not, that are walking around saying, I'm fine today, they're not struggling. But in reality, they're not growing.
No, they're not growing.
They're not growing.
They're living in comfort.
They're living in comfort.
Which is great for a season. You know, it's a biblical premise. You know, it's great for a season.
Yeah.
You know, there's joy in that for a little while.
A little bit.
and it hits hard.
I think it's too much too. Alex Hormozi, we talk a lot about Alex. He states in several podcasts that the saddest and most depressed time of his life is after he sold his company for $46 million. I think it's 46. I don't know how much it was, 40 something, 40 million.
Yeah.
Give or take a few million, who cares?
Yeah.
And he said, all right, this is amazing. And he said, I'm not going to be involved in anything at a certain point in the company and other companies because he wanted to prove to investors that he wasn't needed to run the company. So he would step away from the company and not work. And when he didn't work, when he got to, in his mind, or in other people's minds, choose comfort and do nothing, he was miserable. He bought a few things, like he had some fun with some toys, cars and stuff, trips, vacations, but he was absolutely miserable. He could not work. That was the thing he liked to do, and he couldn't grow.
He couldn't grow. There wasn't anything that was causing him any kind of problems.
Yeah.
He wasn't sore the next day from the day before where he put in the reps, where he had actually done the deal.
Yeah.
Because of that, he was missing something. And it's amazing to me that money is not where it's at.
Yeah.
We're going to get there. We're going to see what that feels like at some point. We're on that journey. But I've never seen anybody that doesn't have a purpose that's truly happy.
Yeah.
And, all the purpose is really in life is found in serving others and making an impact and difference for other people.
Yep.
And that's what those guys do on a level way above where I'm currently at.
Yeah.
So it's really neat to see. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah. That's interesting. Deep thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode of Growth Over Comfort. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hope that you guys choose to grow instead of just being comfortable. And also, if you see someone struggling, encourage them. Send them a song or a Bible verse or something and say, you know what, you got this, man. You got it. And maybe even a handwritten note.
Handwritten notes go a long way today.
Yeah.
There are very few of those.
Yeah.
AI can write it and you can just write it down.
There you go. That works. And let me know also, I'm curious for people watching on YouTube or something, or even connect with us on Instagram. Do you stay up at night working at night, or would you rather wake up early? I'm curious what our listener base is. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.